Speaking of funny, what's a holiday party without some entertainment? We figured we'd bring in a professional comedian, and what a Chicago bucket list this is for Pat McGann, who joins us in studio, playing the Chicago Theater as a headliner. Tickets on sale today for the show at the Chicago Theater, April 22nd. What's up, Pat? Thanks for coming in, man.
Great to be here. What a party. I was listening on the way in, and I was like, I got to get this punch.
Yeah.
You really got it boozed up here.
Yeah, there's actual booze in there.
There's cookies. Feel free to have a peanut butter ball. They're delightful. It's like a whatchamacallit, but turned inside out. There's a
Where are those from? Who made those?
My wife made those.
Oh, your wife made those?
Yeah, she made them with love.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
They're not laced with anything? They're not...
Not as far as I know, but I wasn't watching the entire time.
Now, I'm not much of a cook, so I brought shrimp cocktail.
Oh, these are crunchy.
Right? There's Rice
Very
Krispie
good.
treats in
Yeah?
there.
You guys, Chicago, can you hear this? There it is.
He's really
That's
eating the peanut butter
my
ball.
that's my review right there. The crunch factor. I wasn't looking for that.
Yeah.
Very good.
You feel free to finish it. You don't
What's
have
your
to-
wife's name?
Christine.
Christine. Nice work.
All right, there you go.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
The personal endorsement.
Yeah, it's huge. So you've played Chicago Theater, but never as a headliner, correct?
First time headlining there. I did. I opened for Sebastian there. And,
That's a good guy to open for.
Yeah, it was a good run too because he did about 5 shows. So you get comfortable being in the building. I had been there one other time. I did a anniversary thing with the White Sox.
Cool.
The 2005, so it was probably 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not. There was room in the bleachers in the the balcony.
Yeah.
So I said, this kind of feels like home.
It feels like a White
Jerry
Sox
didn't
game.
like that one.
But they bring you back. You're like the White Sox comedian. I feel like you do their events.
No, I do have a good relationship with the White Sox.
And you lean in because they can take it a little bit, can't
Oh yeah,
they?
they have a good sense of humor there.
right,
They have to.
All right, we got to talk about it right away because this is the stuff of legend. Pat McGann, you did a gig at the Field Museum for White Sox charities? Is that what it was?
Yes, for White Sox charities.
White Sox charities, and it was the day of, I believe it was the day of the second 1-2 intentional walk, or was it the first one? It might have been the first 1-2 intentional walk issued by Tony La Russa, and an angry explanation after. And we were here, man. It's like, as angry as that fan base is, they were on 12 that day. Furious, freaking out, and all anybody wanted to do was to go to the event that you were headlining.
And roast Tony La Russa.
Yes! and
so,
you had a chance to do that.
Someone told me what you said, but do you remember what you said about Tony?
I think I said you better get out of here before someone thinks you're an exhibit. Something like that.
Yeah.
He had a great sense of humor about it. He stood up.
Oh, he
Gave
did?
me yeah.
That must have taken a while.
Then someone had to nudge him.
Yeah.
That was about you. TLR?
It made me laugh so hard, the idea of Tony La Russa being an exhibit.
I still can't believe that I was there in 1983 at the Tito Landrum game, and he was the manager.
Wow.
And then I brought my son to game 4 of that Houston series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's 7. My son was 7.
Yeah.
And there he is. Same
guy.
manager. Like, what?
What's the father lesson there? Son, don't worry. You can always be the White Sox manager.
I said, you can be loyal, but then there's too loyal.
Yeah.
It's a bbig lesson for a 7-year-old, man.
Yeah.
Are those gigs tough, or is the corporate gig a tough gig? I would feel like it would be.
They can be a little tough. It's different environment every time you go into something like that. But when you're doing something with professional athletes, like they're sizing you up right away. Like who are you? And they're all very guarded now, I think, maybe as opposed to the past. I've worked with at the alumni event. Those guys, different vibe. They were not as maybe infected with social media and concerned with what was going to be out there, And I do think that you get that feel from these guys when they when you're interacting with them. They think you're going to post everything or that someone's going to be taken out of context. So it's a different environment.
That's interesting. So that's White Sox alumni you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so White Sox alumni, Now, if it's Ron Kittle and that ilk, like they grew up in clubhouses just giving each other crap on the highest level where no holds are barred and there was no political correctness whatsoever, and you just had to take it and show up for work the next day.
For sure.
That culture is different these days in a locker room. It's more supportive. It's more thoughtful. So, yeah, the old crowd better for you in that sense.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. And I think a lot of these guys are, fans of comedy. I've been on the road and they come to shows. They show up at comedy clubs. It's a good night for them.
Yeah.
If they're, especially like road teams, they get out, some good team building. But when you put them on the spot, it's a different situation.
It's a pretty remarkable inferiority complex for the White Sox as an organization, right? They got a big old chip on the shoulder, don't they? That you have to poke at every once in a while comedically, but not too hard.
I feel it too, though, because I'm a South Sider.
Yeah.
And I used to think, that chip may be a little bit too much, but then the realness happens, right? You get there was the ESPN snub, right? On the
Chicago Championships graphic where they did
Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune got us. I think they had like Chicago sports teams, and we weren't up there. It does happen sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
no, so it's well earned.
So it's
understandable, and it goes back to the beginning, man. It's the Cubs. The guy who owned the Cubs wouldn't allow Charlie Comiskey to bring a team north of 35th Street.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't allow him to do it in the 1800s. Like, nope, can't do it. Sorry. So, like, that feeling of being, told to stay in your lane goes back more than a century.
Well, it's in our population, too. It's in the people that walk the streets on the South Side, They don't like to come up here either.
Sure.
That's why they're all like, Chicago theater, screw this. See this guy in a grade school gym. I'll see him when he comes to St. Cajun's.
If he's playing a football stadium at Marist, maybe I'll come by.
Exactly.
April 22nd, see Pat McGann, Chicago Theater. That's 3,600 people, man. That's a big room.
Well, that's what it holds.
That's what it holds.
We'll see.
All right, fair enough.
No. I hope to get him out there for sure. It's going to be. This is something I've always kind of wanted to do, and for it to be happening, I'm really excited about it.
What are So how long you been doing stand up?
Since 2008.
2008. So what are the benchmarks in your career? Like I watched your Colbert set earlier today, just like preparing for you to come in. I would imagine doing a late night set is a thing that all comedians want. Opening for a monster like Sebastian. Like what benchmarks do you feel like you've done in your career? Because now you're headlining like the biggest comedy theater in your hometown. So like what would you point to so far in your career as the highlights?
Well, I think that like the Zanies relationship really was what started my career. I was the house MC there. And when I started stand-up, I really was like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work at Zanies. And Bert Haas, who ran and booked the club, asked me to be the house MC. So I started hosting there. And they're open every night of the week. And I was hosting. I was only off on Mondays. We're doing like 12, 14 shows a week. I'm working with all these national headliners every week. There's someone else coming in. And it was like crash course. Learned a lot. They made me do crowd work. They made me get out of my material, get comfortable on stage. I wasn't comfortable on stage.
Sure.
I didn't like to be up there, at first. And so that was like the beginning. And then that's where I met Sebastian. And then Sebastian took me on the road with him. I never imagined that his ride would become what it became, doing arenas,
Center.
Madison Square Garden and things. But that's his world, right? So I never lost sight of that. I was just kind of riding that wave. But those were always, the Sebastian stuff really made me develop material. The zany stuff made me develop like a persona on stage and just being comfortable.
What's it like being on the road with one of the, 5 biggest comedians in the world?
It's pretty crazy. It is. It's fun. We're spoiled. It's great venues. People are keyed up. You walk in there and they've been looking forward to this show for months. They've had tickets for a long time. And more than ever, this live entertainment, I don't know if you're feeling this, Matt, at your shows, like live shows,
Electric.
People are appreciating more than ever.
100% agree.
The feedback afterwards, I needed that. I needed a laugh. I needed to get out. I needed an escape. I have COVID now, but it was fun.
yeah, it was worth it. This is worth it, COVID.
I lost 6 family members, but screw them. I'm out. I'm having a good time.
No, I think it's just something that people are really digging. Just to be out.
Absolutely. Well, this has always been, as you know, if you're playing around the country, this is one of the great live theater, live event towns in the world. Like, it just is. It's better than New York. It's better than L.A. as a live event town. There's just people love it. They're thankful for it. They're like so glad that it's happening. And then they go home at the end of the night and they relax. And you end at a decent time usually, so they can go home. You know. But I completely relate to that feeling. You got me thinking as you're talking about the Chicago theater. I remember when Brother, my band in the '90s, was so excited. We're gonna do a big CD release party at the Vic, man. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's do it. And the Vic seats 1,800, and there were probably 250 people there. And you're like, all right, and you're fighting your way through the show with 1/9 of the attendance in a venue that large. And you joke about the Chicago theater at 3,600, but like, that's when you're professional, right? Like, depending on how it goes, you got to be a pro and do the same show whether there's 10 people or 3,000 people.
Yes, yeah, and that can be challenging sometimes because you have to, it's like sports, you play down your level sometimes, and if you can't punish the people that showed up. You gotta bring it, right? Or try to.
Yeah.
But you do feed off of them too, because it's like, a conversation in a way. You're getting feedback from them and you feed off of it. So
yeah, the thing I always think of is Van Halen was doing like when
I think of them too.
Right, I know you do. Right, when they were very, very young, Danny. They were doing some show in Hollywood at like 6 o'clock in some dive bar, and there was an A&R guy who was in there getting a drink, and he turned around, and he's like, "Who the hell are these guys?" And it was David Lee Roth doing stage dives and Eddie spinning the guitar, and they were Van Halen for three people in the crowd. He's like, "Calm down, but I'm signing you today."
Yes,
oh,
that's cool.
Yeah, you got to bring it.
Pat McGann in studio for the Parkins Spiegel holiday party. Check it out. Go see him. Chicago Theater. We're going to sell this thing out. Support people who support the show. Pat's been cool to us, so let's go. Go buy some tickets. Where's the easiest way? I don't think they can do a Chicago Theater box office, but you got a site or your
there's
Instagram?
a link online if they go to my socials or you go to my website, Pat McGann Comedy, and there's a pre-sale code before Friday. It's Pat Live. That's the code.
Okay, Pat Live, wherever you're trying to buy
where's
your
Lynn
ticket.
Bramer? I thought this was a party. I was like, listening on the way in. I'm like, oh, Lynn's going to be there?
I know.
You guys are liberal with this word party. Kind of throwing it around.
It's theater of the mind, Pat. Lynn stopped by the party.
Oh, he did.
He was here first. Yeah, he was the opener.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go to you, and you're going to open for somebody else.
No,
no one's hanging out for the full 4 hours. We're not that cool.
I understand what he's
There's
talking
no
about.
green room.
Should we open the door?
The white hen across from my high school. One in, one out.
Yeah, basically.
Can't let them all in.
Oh, the white hen. It was good. The white hen, the J.J. Peppers, if you had to choose one or the other.
Oh, white hen.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Sandwiches? Or what did they do?
We had a guy who worked at our white hen. His name was Ken. We called him White Ken. And he ran the joint. And he was a total jag. He wouldn't let anyone in there.
So do you have White Sox
my
angst
God.
about this offseason? Are you worried they're not going to spend any of Jerry's money?
I was kind of bummed about Abreu, to be honest. I didn't think that was the move, but I don't have any anxiety about it because it's just whatever happens. And I was fired up last year, and then where did that get me? I'm just staying even. I love the White Sox. I'm not going to stop loving them. I hope they do well. They got to stay healthy. That's kind of out of their control, maybe. That
But
could
no
change
expectations. If you have no expectations, you can't get hurt.
Yes. I believe that.
You did have expectations last year, like in terms of the most disappointing seasons of any sports team in your lifetime. Was last year up there?
Yeah, I would think it was close.
It was pretty
for
bad.
Sure.
It was pretty bad, man.
You kept waiting for it to turn, and then I had that event, and the word was trickling in. And my history with that is not great either. And I've gotten to know Jason Benetti a little bit. Kind of a name drop, but talking with him in the booth one night, they had me come in because I was promoting White Sox Charities event.
Sure. And
it was like Chris Sale, one of his last starts as a White Sox. Like I think this is when they decided, like, let's blow it up because he was, cruising for the first 3 innings, and then I came in the booth in the 4th, and it imploded. And I was getting messages on Facebook like, "You suck. You're the worst thing ever. I hate you." I'm like, okay. I mean, it's insane how people react.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
We live with it every day. You do too, though, man. Like the feedback loop is, you can get sucked into it.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. YouTube comments.
It's not a nice place.
Dude, I opened for Sebastian this weekend in Worcester. Worcester, Mass,
Yeah.
And I did my set. It was, it felt great.
Yeah.
It was in an arena. I go back and I'm looking, and some guy, you just opened for Sebastian. You suck. Could have found someone better around the corner.
Around the corner in Worcester.
You just didn't have that Worcester brand of humor, man. It's a very specific thing. Next time you play Worcester, just skew to him. You know?
Yeah, but see, but so you read the comments.
Well, this was a DM. This was a direct heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
Thought it was a new fan.
Yeah.
But apparently not. I invited him to the Score holiday party, and he's going to come in when I leave.
We don't have room.
I'm going to tag him in.
Hey, those are our people. That guy's probably a P1. That guy's a listener. 100%.
What about the Bears? Are you a believer in Justin Fields?
Yeah, I mean, if he could, there's a guy that I'm like, okay, is he going to have a long career playing the way he plays? I mean, if he could, you sound like anybody else. If he could stay healthy, I mean, he's electric. I like watching him. I like watching their offense. Seems like when they got rid of Roquan, like some of the defense kind of, they're not stopping anybody. But
Yeah.
I'm optimistic.
This has been our thing the last couple of years because we've had a chance to live with. There was a time when the Bears never hired a coach who had previously been a head coach. They just didn't believe in experience, you know? And then they did that with John Fox, got it out of the way. Then they had never hired the offensive coordinator from a good offense, and they did it with Matt Nagy. And you're like, oh, this might work. They had never done that. It didn't work. They've never had a young franchise quarterback who they've tried to build around. They've never had this.
This could be a new way to break our hearts.
This could be a new way to experience a terrible thing with the Bears. And
Did
even
you forget
that is
about
fun.
Cade McNown?
Oh, God.
Well, that's the thing, Pat. I say this all the time. I want the Bears to have a good quarterback so badly. I fall for all of them. Like, I'm fairly rational, level-headed when it comes to sports, but with Bears quarterbacks, I was like, Cade's the answer. Rex is the answer. Jay's the answer. Mitch is the answer. Like anybody who's got some upside and some hope or was a first-round pick, I fall for. So
I mean, when I woke up to the Bears, it was Walter Payton, and 85 I was in fourth grade. This was
a sweet
this was the
spot.
best franchise ever.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll
I
leave a mark.
realize-
That'll leave a mark on you.
I didn't realize that they, the McCaskies. I mean, you have an appreciation for family-run businesses, right?
Yeah.
And then when it gets down to the second, third generation, like.
It gets tougher.
They look like they're owned by a 95-year-old woman. Let's just,
They win that way. They operate that way.
Which
my
they
great
are.
grandma was running the Bears. I think they would be
They'd have a similar win
under
percentage.
500 too.
Yeah, my nana would have sucked at that job. Now I'm thinking about it.
What's the promo code one more time?
Pat Live.
Check him out. Pat McGann, Chicago Theater. He's trying to sell out the Chicago Theater, headlining it for the first time. Great Chicago
Make me sound
comedian.
so desperate. Listen to this, guys. He's trying to sell out.
Give him more than one night.
Chicago
No,
Theater.
no, we're gonna get so
He's
many.
a Southsider.
We're gonna get so.
Aren't you embarrassed?
We're gonna have so many pre-sales after you attended our holiday party.
Hit that drop.
They're gonna give you a
Love
second. They're gonna give you a second night. You're gonna be like Sebastian. You're gonna rattle off 5 shows in a row.
That's right.
At Chicago Theater. Pat Live. Check it out. All the social media channels. Chicago Theater. April 22nd.
You know what it is, Danny. It's the Parkins and Spiegel bump.
That's
I mean,
right.
everybody
Yeah.
knows it. Sebastian felt it after he came on.
Yeah, we made his career.
Come
Yeah,
on.
no-
It's Earth Day, so people might have plans.
yeah, that's tough.
You know what? Bring the earth. Go ahead.
it's gonna be-
Grab a piece of earth, bring it in.
Chicago is Earth.
Take a wing
Use
and a
that
beverage
in
and
the
then
marketing.
and then make room for our next guest. Which okay, one
Yeah,
in,
who's
one out.
next?
Boomer Esiason.
Oh, really?
He's calling in though.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But
Oh, that was an option?
not for you. Not for you. Adam Amin just walked in. Adam Amin will be in studio in 20 minutes.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, Boomer Esiason's calling in next on The Score.